The Harlington estate loomed in the twilight, a regal backdrop for an evening that promised both opulence and revelation. Lisa, my wife of 10 years, and I found ourselves ensconced in a world of glittering chandeliers, elegant ballrooms, and whispered conversations. Amidst the clinking of crystal glasses and the rustle of silk gowns, a peculiar tradition emerged, unbeknownst to us. A tradition that would cast a shadow on our seemingly harmonious marriage. As the night unfolded, Lisa and I discovered the enigmatic custom, an unconventional affair that involved relinquishing our house keys to a decorative bowl. The anticipation of secrets hung in the air as the keys clinked together, each one representing the hidden desires of the wives present. Unbeknownst to me, I held in my hands the power to unveil a clandestine world, a world of passion, intimacy, and unforeseen consequences. The Harlington soiree, initially a glittering escapade, had morphed into a crucible where our shared history faced a test of fidelity and trust. The journey home from the Harlington estate was fraught with an unsettling tension. The grandeur of the soiree, now a distant memory, yielded to the harsh reality of a misplaced key and an inadvertent breach of trust. Lisa, usually nestled in the seat beside me, sat with a scowl etched on her face, the silence between us carrying the weight of unspoken accusations. "Why didn't you say something earlier, Frank?" Lisa's voice cut through the strained quiet, her words laced with frustration. "How was I supposed to know? You never mentioned this key business," I retorted, my own frustration bubbling to the surface. Lisa huddled in her seat, distancing herself physically as if trying to escape the gravity of the evening's revelation. "I thought it would be fun, Frank. A chance to inject some excitement into our lives," she muttered, her words hanging in the air. The streets passed by in a blur as our car carried the weight of a discordant revelation. The home we approached, once a sanctuary, now felt like uncharted territory. The scowl on Lisa's face mirrored the rift that had emerged between us, a chasm born out of a night that promised intimacy but delivered discord. As we entered the dimly lit living room, the tension heightened. The scowl on Lisa's face intensified, and I couldn't help but feel a mixture of anger and betrayal. The air, once filled with the echoes of shared laughter, now bore the strain of an unraveling connection. "So what now, Lisa?" I demanded, my tone tinged with frustration. She turned away, avoiding eye contact. "I thought it would be a one-time thing, Frank. A momentary escape from routine. Can't you see that?" Her voice wavered, a desperate attempt to convey a sense of regret. The room, adorned with memories that now felt tainted, witnessed a confrontation that laid bare the consequences of misplaced trust. As we grappled with the aftermath of the soiree, the realization sank in. Our marriage, once a fortress of shared dreams, stood at the precipice of uncertainty. The days following the Harlington soiree were marked by an unspoken tension, an invisible thread pulling at the fabric of our marriage. Lisa's choice, a deliberate act that I struggled to comprehend, became the catalyst for a confrontation that would redefine the contours of our shared history. As I faced Lisa, the weight of the ultimatum I had issued hung heavily in the air. The living room, once witness to our shared joys, now felt like a battlefield of emotions. Lisa, her expression a mix of defiance and regret, met my gaze with a stubborn determination. "What were you thinking, Lisa? Do you understand the gravity of what you've done?" My voice, a mixture of hurt and frustration, echoed through the room. She looked away, unwilling to meet my eyes. "Frank, it was just one night. A chance to feel alive again," she murmured, her words hanging in the air like a fragile confession. "One night that could unravel everything we've built," I countered, my frustration boiling over. "You put our entire marriage on the line for what?" A fleeting moment of excitement. Lisa's eyes welled with tears, a vulnerability that momentarily softened the edges of our confrontation. "Frank, it's not about us. It's about me. I needed this," she pleaded, her voice teetering on the edge of desperation. The gravity of her choice, a decision made in pursuit of personal fulfillment, left me grappling with a sense of betrayal. The sanctity of our vows seemed to crumble in the face of her admission. The air thickened with unspoken words, the echoes of our confrontation becoming a soundtrack to the unraveling of a bond that had weathered a decade of highs and lows. The room, once a haven of shared dreams, bore witness to the harsh reality of a choice that threatened to undo the very foundation of our marriage. As we stood at the precipice of a decision that would shape our future, the chasm between us deepened, and the path to resolution seemed elusive in the face of irreparable discord. The decision to part ways hung in the air, a heavy acknowledgement of the irreparable cracks that had formed in the foundation of our marriage. The confrontation had reached an impasse, and as I walked away from the woman who had been my confidant for a decade, the echoes of our fractured vows resonated through the deserted corridors of our home. The night air, cool and unforgiving, mirrored the chill that had settled between Lisa and me. With each step, the distance between us widened, a visual representation of the emotional chasm that had opened up in the wake of the Harlington affair. Lisa's voice, tinged with desperation, reached out to me. "Frank, don't do this. We can work through it. It was just one mistake." The gravity of her plea hung in the air, but my resolve remained steadfast. "Lisa, this wasn't just a mistake. It was a choice, a conscious decision to jeopardize everything we had." As I turned the corner and she disappeared from sight, a fleeting hope lingered that she would call, expressing regret and a desire to rebuild. Yet the phone remained silent, and the reality of our parting settled in. The roads that had once converged were now diverging, leading us in separate directions. The days that followed were a blur of solitude and reflection. I grappled with the weight of heartache, questioning the choices that had brought us to this crossroads. The once shared dreams now lay shattered, and the prospect of forging ahead alone felt daunting. In the midst of this emotional turbulence, the phone rang, breaking the silence that had become a constant companion. Lisa's voice, a mix of remorse and defiance, reached out through the receiver. "Frank, we can't let one night define us. I love you. We can move past this." Her words, a desperate attempt to bridge the chasm, left me torn between the love that had once bound us and the pain of betrayal that now threatened to eclipse it. The decision to part ways, though painful, felt like the only choice left as I grappled with the shattered fragments of a love that had once seemed invincible. Dawn broke with a sense of foreboding, and I found myself ensnared in the aftermath of Lisa's chosen path. The phone buzzed, a call from an unknown number. A man's voice, confident and oddly familiar, echoed through the receiver. "Hey there, Mark. This is Glenn. Your wife gave me your number. She's really excited about tonight. Said you're a lucky man." Glenn's tone carried a brazen nonchalance, a stark contrast to the turmoil that churned within me. "Lucky? Excited? Do you even understand what you've done?" I retorted, my frustration bubbling over. Glenn chuckled, dismissive. "Come on, man. It's just a bit of fun. Your wife knows how to live a little. Don't ruin it for her." The call ended, leaving me grappling with the absurdity of the situation. Moments later, the phone chimed again. Lisa's voice, a desperate plea, filled the room. "Honey, please try to understand. It's just one night. I'll make it up to you in the morning. Love you." The juxtaposition of Glenn's cavalier attitude and Lisa's tearful reassurance left me questioning the reality of the night that unfolded. The echoes of revelry reverberated through my thoughts, intermingled with the bitter taste of regret. As I sank into the solitude of the morning, I couldn't shake the surrealism of the situation. Lisa, the woman I had shared a decade of my life with, had willingly embarked on a night of passion with a stranger. The unraveling of our marriage, once a distant possibility, now seemed inevitable. The day unfolded with a heavy heart, each passing hour magnifying the emotional toll of the revelations. The urge to confront Lisa, to demand an explanation, gnawed at me. The phone, a silent witness to the turmoil, became a conduit for my conflicted emotions. As I dialed her number, hesitation lingered. The conversation that followed would either offer clarity or deepen the wounds. The phone rang several times before Lisa's voice, a mix of anxiety and defiance, filled the void. "Frank, there's nothing I can do about it. Glenn's already here." The words hung in the air, a cruel confirmation of the irreversible path she had chosen. The realization hit. The woman I had loved and trusted had willingly ventured into the arms of another man, leaving me to grapple with the harsh reality of betrayal. Awakening from a fitful sleep, I found reality crashing down, A reality where my wife, the love of my life, had ventured into an affair. As the remnants of the night before haunted me, I replayed Lisa's voicemails, each word a dagger in the heart. The morning sun cast a harsh light on the shattered remnants of our life together. Tears welled up as I confronted the gravity of Lisa's actions, the echoes of her whispered reassurances reverberating through the silence. The phone buzzed, a reminder of the tangled mess that had become my life. Lisa's name flashed on the screen, and against my better judgment, I answered. "Frank, why are you so stubborn? Can't you understand that I needed this?" Her voice wavered between desperation and frustration. "Needed this? Lisa, you shattered everything we built. How could you do this to us?" My words, laden with hurt, hung in the air, a futile attempt to convey the depth of my anguish. She remained defiant. "It's just one night. Tomorrow, everything will be normal again. You'll see." Normalcy felt like an elusive dream as I confronted the harsh reality. My wife had willingly chosen another man over the sanctity of our marriage. The weight of her actions, the betrayal etched into each syllable of her voice, left me grappling with a sense of desolation. Hours passed like an eternity as I wandered through the remnants of our shared life. The home, once a haven, now felt like a mausoleum of broken promises. The laughter that once echoed in these walls now haunted me, a cruel reminder of what we had lost. In a desperate attempt to numb the pain, I bought a six-pack of beer and sought solace in the flickering light of the television. The first two drinks offered a fleeting sense of relief, but with each sip, the bitter taste of reality intensified. The phone rang again, this time with Glenn's name on the screen. Hesitation lingered, but curiosity compelled me to answer. "Frank, old man, this is Glenn. Your beautiful wife gave me your number," he stated, his tone mocking. "What do you want, Glenn?" I seethed, my anger barely contained. "Just wanted to let you know you're a lucky person. Tonight's going to be unforgettable," he chuckled, the audacity of his words a cruel reminder of the intimacy Lisa had willingly shared with a stranger. The call ended, leaving me with a toxic cocktail of emotions, anger, hurt, and a gnawing sense of inadequacy. As I sank into the depths of despair, the realization hit. I needed a plan to protect my children, sever ties with Lisa, and expose the party that had become the epicenter of our unraveling lives. With a resolve hardened by betrayal, I sought refuge in the counsel of Max, a trusted friend and legal advisor. As we sat in his office, the weight of our shared history underscored the gravity of the decisions that lay ahead. "Max, I need to expose what happened at that party. It's not just about us anymore. It's about protecting my kids and ensuring no one else faces the same ordeal," I declared, my voice resolute. Max nodded, his eyes reflecting a mixture of empathy and determination. "We need a plan, Frank. Something that exposes the truth without compromising your position." Over dinner and drinks, we meticulously crafted a strategy. The Beloy Sun-Herald, with its knack for sensational stories, became our unwitting ally. Max's acquaintance, a reporter for the paper, held the key to unraveling the secrets hidden behind the doors of the infamous soiree. As we delved into the details, Max analyzed possible ways to shield a portion of my finances, a precautionary measure for the tumultuous legal battle that loomed on the horizon. "Frank, we can't afford to be reckless, but we can make a strategic move that'll cause a stir without exposing you to undue risks," Max assured me, his tone measured. A plan began to take shape, an expose that would lift the veil on the secretive affairs of the Wife Swapping Club, painting a vivid picture of the consequences that lurked beneath the surface of their seemingly glamorous gatherings. Days later, the Beloy Sun-Herald ran the article front and center. The headline screamed scandal, and the faces of the couples attending the soiree, blurred but recognizable, adorned the front page. In the aftermath, chaos ensued. Couples scrambled to salvage their reputations, some divorcing and others fleeing the town in a bid to escape the relentless scrutiny. The consequences rippled beyond the pages of the newspaper. The party, once a clandestine haven for hidden desires, crumbled under the weight of public exposure. The legal implications loomed large, and the town buzzed with gossip, condemning the affairs that had festered in the shadows. As the dust settled, Max looked at me with a sense of accomplishment. This is your chance for a clean break, Frank. The truth is out, and the consequences are theirs to bear. The road ahead was uncertain, but with the legal maneuvers set in motion and the secrets exposed, the shackles of betrayal began to loosen. As I contemplated the chapters yet to unfold, the echoes of the unconventional soiree slowly faded into the backdrop of my transformed life. The town of Riverview, once shrouded in the scandalous aftermath of the exposé, slowly began to reclaim a semblance of normalcy. The echoes of the white-swapping revelations faded, replaced by the hum of everyday life. As I navigated the aftermath of the harrowing ordeal, the path to redemption and renewal emerged. In the quiet solitude of my home, I faced the daunting task of rebuilding. A life shattered by betrayal and revelations. The phone, once a harbinger of heartache, now became a tool for healing. Messages from friends and acquaintances offered words of support, and the community, though scarred, rallied together. The legal battle with Lisa unfolded, each step a reminder of the irreparable damage inflicted by her choices. Custody negotiations loomed, and the well-being of our children became the focal point of a conflict that extended beyond the boundaries of our fractured marriage. In the midst of the legal turmoil, Max's guidance proved invaluable. The intricate web of financial maneuvers sheltered a portion of my assets, providing a lifeline in the storm of divorce proceedings. The legal gambit, though calculated, carried the weight of moral vindication, a subtle victory in the face of betrayal. As the weeks turned into months, the town's attention shifted elsewhere, and I found solace in the mundane routines of daily life. A chance encounter at the local diner led to a conversation with an empathetic waitress, her words offering a glimmer of hope amid the lingering shadows of the past. "I heard about what happened, Frank. You're stronger than you know. You've got a new chapter waiting to be written," she remarked, her eyes reflecting a shared resilience. In the wake of the tumultuous divorce, I faced a crossroads, a choice between clinging to the echoes of a shattered past or forging ahead toward uncharted horizons. The support of friends, the legal maneuvers, and the newfound resilience within offered a foundation for a future untethered to the scars of betrayal. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow over Riverview, I stood on the porch of my new home, a symbol of a fresh start. The air, once heavy with the secrets of the past, now whispered the promise of redemption. The phone, now stripped of its tormenting echoes, rang with a sense of possibility. As I answered, the voice on the other end belonged to a friend, inviting me to join a gathering of locals at the town's community center. It was an opportunity to connect, to embrace the support of those who had weathered the storm alongside me. The night unfolded with laughter, shared stories, and the realization that life, despite its tumultuous chapters, held the promise of renewal. As I stepped into the warm embrace of the community, the echoes of betrayal faded into the background, making room for the harmonious notes of resilience and the gentle hum of a town reclaiming its sense of normalcy. The final pages of this chapter unfolded, not with the bitter taste of regret, but with the sweet anticipation of new beginnings. The road ahead, though uncertain, held the promise of redemption, growth, and the forging of a narrative that transcended the shadows of a tumultuous past. Thanks to everyone who took the time to listen to today's stories. If you enjoyed it, please consider liking and subscribing if you haven't already. Feel free to share your thoughts on the events in the comments below. Take care.